Hi, guys. Let me just keep letting a few people in. There we go. All right. And we are recording now, just so that you know, this will be recorded in the streamed live in the Facebook group, as well as being put on YouTube. So anyway, hi there. Welcome to the October Spotlight guest host. Hi, Delane. This time it is guest hosted by Ryan Montis. Hi, Ryan. And I'm your usual every month host, Krista Bowman. I know, kind of boring. Anyway, but we are going to go ahead and be streaming live. You can catch us on YouTube later if you happen to miss this, those of you that are watching, later. And I will pop that link into the chat bar here in just a moment. Also, Ryan, if you have a link that you would like to pop into the chat bar, do it now, and I will periodically copy and paste so that it's like fresh. That way there's going to be a couple of different links. Anyway, that way you'll never miss another one of these if you go ahead and just sign up for the YouTube channel. So for now, I have a funny question to ask you. Show of hands, who on this call right now is in the United States? Just one? Well, Ryan, me, that's three. Catherine,
I'm not actually not in the United States.
Oh, you're in Canada? Yeah. So this tone isn't going out to Canada, is it?
Yeah, it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Okay. All right. Well, so the reason I'm asking is because there is an FCC and FEMA collaborative emergency test scheduled to occur in about 10 to 15 minutes from now. It's supposed to be at 2:20 Eastern time. So if you don't want all of your various communication devices sounding off this very high-pitched 1050 hertz tone, that's a painful hertz, by the way. And I'm not talking about any conspiracy theories. There's no political agenda here. I'm just saying, like, I'm appealing purely to the discomfort of your ears and the disruption of Ryan's beautiful presentation. Then I do encourage you to turn off all of your communication devices, except for this one, of course. So turn off your cell phones. If you have Alexa pods, stuff like that, go ahead and turn those off, and then you won't get that high-pitched, halfway through. So moving on from that, I would love to give you a little background. Ryan is a board certified trainer of NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, and coaching. He's an ex-soldier and an ex-private detective, both of which I had no idea until you told me that. I didn't know that at all. He currently specializes in helping hypnotists and NLP practitioners to better understand and harness the power of social media, and in how to become discoverable, connecting with clients without all the frustration and pain that many of us, myself included, report to be the social media experience. And so without further ado, let me introduce you to Ryan's topic today, which ties right in with that. He's going to be talking to us about the role of social media in coaching, hypnosis, and NLP businesses, and how that has been evolving, and how and why we use social media as hypnotists and coaches in a different way than we did just a couple of years ago, or even months ago, actually. So Ryan is here to show you that using social media can and should be easy, fun, and effective. He's sharing his most valuable secrets to make this the case for you too. And it says in 2023, but I'm going to say, that's more than half over. So 2024 too. I'll open things up for some questions and answers. You can go ahead and put your questions in the chat box, and we will periodically grab them, and Ryan can field those. And with that, take it away, Ryan. It's all yours.
All right. Well, what a lovely introduction. And thank you, Krista, very much appreciated. And hi, everybody. Krista, could you either give me permission to share my screen or make me co-host or something so I can share my screen?
Yes.
So I'll have some slides for these fine folks.
There you go.
So thank you so much. So welcome, everybody, and glad to be here. Please, if possible, have your cameras on. I would love to be able to see you while I'm chatting. If not possible, don't feel bad. It's not the end of the world. I will survive, but love to be able to see you. Just a quick show of hands. Anybody here know who I am already? I recognize a couple of faces of people who I definitely know. Yeah, Chris, Ruthie, Oman. Yeah, I know Dolane knows me. Okay, cool. So it's a little bit of a mixed crowd. So hi, everybody. There's Dolane. Hi, everybody. Ryan Montis. Yeah, these days, most of what I do is teaching hypnotherapists and coaches about social media. So a few years ago, when I started my business, I was almost exclusively running certifications. I ran Tad James style trainings of NLP and hypnotherapy and timeline therapy. Anytime you hear timeline therapy, you know, Tad has something to do with it, for those of you that know the late and wonderful Tad James. But what happened was my audience kind of evolved. It got to the point where, you know, a lot of people had been certified by me, and the questions that I was getting from my audience, from my followers on social media, were less and less about how to get people results within coaching sessions, and more about how to get people into the coaching sessions to begin with, which, like I said, you know, is more and more about social media, as it has been over the last few years. There's been a lot of shifts in the way people connect with coaches since 3 years ago. And there's been a lot of shifts in the coaching industry, specifically in the last 3 years and in the last few months as well. With the advancements of video conferencing, like the way Zoom works today, by the way, everyone, is night and day different than how it worked 3 years ago. It is very different and much better technology. And likewise with Skype and Google Meets. And what that has done for us is there are significantly more people in this world now who are acclimated to communicating with others on video and are willing and happy to work with a coach by video conference. Much more so. And when I say coach, I'm going to include hypnotherapists and hypnotists, and I'll use these terms kind of interchangeably. Way more than 3 years ago. 3 years ago, a very common question was, how can I find a hypnotist or a hypnotherapist in my city? Today, a very common question is, how can I find the best hypnotherapist for me? And this issue of locality is less and less of a conversation piece at all. And so because now the global market has access to us and we have access to the global market, you know, it's becoming less and less about person-to-person referrals and, you know, Google reviews, although those things are very important still. But if I'm in the market for a coach, or I'm in the market for a hypnotherapist, or I'm in the market for some kind of transformational change today, and I want to vet somebody before I get on a discovery call with them. And by the way, people will thoroughly research whether they want to get on a discovery call with you or not. This isn't, you know, times of past where they'll just call you up to ask for information. They want to see what you look like. They want to know what your voice sounds like. They want some video content from you. They want to see who's commenting on your stuff before they book a discovery call with you, because they know, you know, consumers are savvy, and people who are looking for coaches are smart. They know as soon as they book a discovery call with you, now you have their name, their phone number, potentially their email address. You're going to be getting communication from them, right? So, you know, a lot of people don't realize, potentially because people, you know, are a little bit reluctant to expose themselves to somebody who's, you know, in the business of selling coaching sometimes. A lot of people don't realize that there's people checking out your social media presence who don't follow you, who don't message you, who are like a ghost in the night, who come and check you out and go, and you have no idea that they were there, right? So if you don't have a strong social media presence, those ghosts are going to come and go, and they're going to go to somebody else who does have a strong social media presence, or at least has a social media presence that conveys what they're about and gives them enough information to make a decision if they want to get on a discovery call or move forward in a consultation. Is this making sense so far, everybody, by the way? Yeah, right? It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like I'm walking down Main Street and I'm looking for a place to have lunch, and there's a whole bunch of restaurants in a row, you know, and this one has big open clear windows. I can see inside, I can see the servers, I can see the food, I can see the happy customers. I say, okay, that one looks good. Gonna go on to the next one. The next one has the windows all covered with decals. I can't see inside. There's a double door, so even in the brief moment when a customer's coming out, I try to peek in, I can't see anything. You know, those restaurants are making the decision easy for me. I'm going to go to the one that looks welcoming and friendly. And likewise,
you just reminded me of something, actually, Ryan.
Please share.
And this might apply to somebody else in here too, so I'm going to go ahead and just chime in. I have a social media presence that's kind of like a little bit everywhere, right? But when somebody's trying to find me, they can find me through these different avenues, but I don't have one that just allows them to see everything. And it only just now occurred to me that I should probably have that. I should probably, like, on my website, have a way that they can easily just go find my TikToks or go find my Insta or go find my Facebook. So thank you for that, because duh.
Yeah, yeah, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. And that's a great point, Krista. You don't necessarily need to go nuts and like be super active on every platform that's out there. But there are 2 or 3 or 4 platforms where most people do most of their buying research right now. And if it's really easy for them, for people to find you on those platforms, and or if it's really easy for when they stumble upon you to click the link of their favorite social media and find your content there, that's really going to work in your favor. And thank you, Krista. And here's the thing: you don't need to make unique content. You don't need to pull your hair out. You don't need to make 100 different videos for 100 different platforms. Kind of getting ahead of myself in the presentation here, but I'll give you one big hint. If you're a hypnotherapist, your primary task is not making social media content. It's not. If you're a hypnotherapist or a coach, the main thing that needs to be consuming your energy is service to your clients, either session work or group work, the actual, what I would call deliverables, right? If you're still in this boat, and marketing is important because you can't deliver the deliverables if you don't have paying clients. But if you're still in this boat where you're spending a lot of time on content creation, we need to move away from that. I'm going to talk more about that as the presentation goes on. But one secret that I'll give you is when it comes to social media, you have one hub platform. It's called a hub platform. That's your favorite platform, the place that feels easy to you, the place where you get the best engagement, the platform that you personally enjoy using the most. For me, it was Facebook for a long time, and then it was Instagram. And now I've kind of got one foot in Facebook and one in Instagram. Make your favorite place your hub, make your content for that hub, and then just repurpose as much of it as you can out to the other platforms. Okay, that's big secret number one for being sustainable on social media. Anyways, we'll get into some more of the secrets as this rolls on. By the way, I'm a very interactive kind of guy. I don't have scripts. I don't have plans. If you have questions, something comes up, put it in the chat. By all means, I don't mind. And by the way, if I ask you a rhetorical question, or if I ask for feedback, it's always appropriate. Big smile and double thumbs up. That's kind of my favorite thing to see from the audience. So that being said, everything I've said so far makes sense? Everybody happy? Yeah, cool. Okay, good. So we'll carry on. So I've talked a little bit about the role of social media in 2023. It's where people are looking to satisfy their criteria for whether they want to book a discovery call with you or not. Even when somebody gets a referral, it used to be, I would tell my friend, oh, you got to go see Krista. She's the best hypnotherapist. They would go to Krista's website, book a discovery call. Now, and that might still happen, but now I'll say, okay, you got to go see Krista. She's the best hypnotherapist. Or if you are a hypnotherapist, you got to join her group, right? Now they're going to first go to her social media, check out what she's all about. And if they like it, then they're going to book the discovery call. Okay. So for those of you that are lucky enough to have a highly referral-based business, if you've noticed over the years, the referrals are less and less consistent, or you're hearing people say, hey, I sent so-and-so to you. Did you hear from them? And you never heard from them? We want to look at why, what went wrong in kind of the chain of custody of that potential client. Okay, we already got a question popping up. When I created my Facebook business page, already a red flag in this question. Let's see where it goes. I was told I had to be linked to my personal page, but people asked to join my personal page instead of my Facebook business page. Can I separate my business page from my personal page? You can do whatever you want, Dorothy. You can have them separate and distinct. As a general rule of thumb, most hypnotherapists and coaches will report that they get very little engagement, very few discovery calls booked, very little productive engagement through a Facebook business page. If I looked at all the different elements of my social media over the last 3 years, and by the way, I've consistently been a six-figure earner only from social media since I started my business in late 2019. If I were to look at all of my assets, the least productive of all of them is a Facebook business page by a large margin.
Okay.
So I should then have a page that is for family, separate from my business page.
I mean, that comes down to a personal choice. What I can say is on the Facebook platform, what we all refer to as our personal page, like our timeline, the thing where we have friends, that gets the most engagement of pretty much anywhere that you're going to be on Facebook. So if you're marketing yourself there and your friends on Facebook are people who are in the niche that you serve, that's profit. That's profit. Yeah.
My relatives are very much against hypnosis, so I've always tried to keep my hypnosis page separate from my personal page. So I think I have to make a separate page just for these.
Yeah, that's a very
family members.
That's a very, very common challenge. Likewise for me. I'm kind of the black sheep in the family. I was the first soldier, and then I was the first hypnotist from a kind of conservative Italian immigrant family in Canada. Like it's I totally understand where you're coming from. But the name of the game with Facebook is if you want to turn the traffic into discovery calls and clients, you really got to utilize the power of the personal page. Krista.
Okay.
That said, and you're absolutely right, and that's been my experience too. However, I have worked with several people that have a similar issue to you, Dorothy, where they don't necessarily want their personal friends and family to be a part of, what they're doing professionally. So if that's the case, you can, I'm sorry, I'm trying to admit people at the same time that I'm talking. That's why I'm going like this. You can just put more of your effort and attention into your business page and not just posting from it, but do things like start groups from it, participate in groups from that business profile. And then it won't have the same kind of traction that your personal profile will, because honestly, Facebook wants to make money off of you, right? That's why they offer these business pages. But you can kind of mimic like the footsteps that you're taking in your personal profile with your business profile, but you're just going to have to remind yourself, like, post this over here, do this over here. You can start groups from your business page. And this is not to negate anything that Ryan said at all. This is not my presentation, but I have worked with enough people where this is the case, where they just don't necessarily want to constantly have that antagonism and conflict from family and friends. So that's one way you can kind of get around it. It's not going to have the same traction, but yeah, you can do that. All right, take it. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No worries. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's a million different ways to be successful on all of these platforms. So, I'll do my best to speak in generalities, but yeah, Chris is right. The other nice compromise is, rather than a Facebook business page, is a Facebook private group, like Krista has, the Hypnotherapy Uncensored. This, with a little bit of work, you can create a tremendous amount of traction and engagement within these groups. And again, I'll point to Hypnotherapy Uncensored as a very good example of a place on Facebook that you can create where you can have thriving engagement. Okay. Separate, better to I have a separate business page. Would it be better to delete it and migrate people to my personal page? If it were me, that's what I would do. Well, no, I would leave the business page up and just encourage more engagement on the personal page, or do what Krista just described.
I have a question for you, Ryan.
Too. Yeah.
So my Instagram is set to automatically share everything from it to my business page because I have an Instagram business. So that actually I find to be beneficial. Can you set it? Can you set it so that it goes to a personal Facebook page? Because that might be one reason to keep the Facebook business profile, is because it's already doing that double sharing. You don't have to go in and do that.
I have it set up the same way as you, actually, Chris. I never go and like spend time putting content on my Facebook business page. I just let everything I post on Instagram auto-populate into the business page so that there's something there. I'm not aware that you're able yet to set up the same kind of setup with Instagram to post on a personal page. If you can, that's a very recent change. But I think specifically Meta's like avoided instituting that type of feature because they do kind of want, well, here's the thing. Like you said, they want to make money, right? And the way Meta makes money is from business pages that spend on ads. That's the main source of revenue.
Right.
So if they make it too easy for you to get tons of free traffic on your personal page, it's going to cut into their profit. So I totally understand why that's not so easy, right?
And you can share back and forth between the personal and the business as long as you're friends with each other. You have to be friends with yourself.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so I'll address a couple more comments in the chat here, and then I'll get into some of the kind of meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about here. I did the same, created 2 separate profiles. Best part is I use my alternate name as my personal. How can I share more on my page without making too much personal information public? Okay, so cool, Navneeta. Everybody be careful with creating multiple Facebook actual accounts. If you create multiple Facebook accounts with different names, you risk Facebook coming in and deleting all of them. My Facebook account is a business asset that brings in about half of my revenue every year. So Facebook deleting my account would be a significant problem for me. So you got to be careful never to violate the terms of service of Facebook. I'm not saying that you are, Navneeta, because it actually depends on the region you're in and many different factors. You might be totally fine, but that's something to be aware of. That being said, how can you find the balance between, sharing personal and public? You really kind of, the only answer is to just test and do and, see what works for you and see what you want to share. A lot of people have told me that I set a good example for balance between personal and private. So feel free to follow my Facebook feed and model anything you want. There's a lot of me and there's a lot of my opinions on this industry and a lot of my teachings, but there's zero of my family, my pets, specific travel plans, my home, etc. So I bear as much of my personality as I can without kind of exposing any part of my life that hasn't signed up to be in the public eye to the public eye. If
you want to learn what not to do, look at my Facebook page.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I honestly there's no delineation between personal and professional on my page. And I honestly don't care anymore. I'm just whatever, take me as I am. This is the whole package. Take, you don't like it, you can go hang out on somebody else's profile. But so I'm probably the example of what not to do.
Yeah.
My main concern is just about privacy, right? I don't want my son or personal information being available for public, with AI, even a simple phone call, hello, could be very dangerous.
Yep.
And
I agree with you, Navneeta. Yeah, and that's why on my profile you don't see any of that stuff. No, there's none of I have nieces. You don't see them, and I only and right down to the point of travel plans. I'll only talk about my travel after I'm safely back at home. Right. Yeah. I don't want anybody knowing where I am while I'm there, basically. So I think you're on the right track.
I think probably why it's probably worked so far is because I have totally 2 different email IDs, and I created my personal profile a long time back with my Islamic name, which is not there on my certificates, which is not there on my school, all my official documents, because it still goes by my maiden name. So I had to create the new profile because then clients would look at my certificate and my name. I didn't want them to get confused. So it happened very organically, but it so happened that my personal ended up becoming very different from my professional profiling.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if it's working for you, that's working for you, right?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking now, maybe the region I can change it, maybe because email ID is different, but the person is the same.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Cool. All right. So let's carry on, and we'll have more opportunity for questions. Okay, Dolene, just quick. Go for it.
Just one. If I was to post something that I wanted, oh, are you getting feedback from me?
A little tiny bit, but I can still hear you.
Okay. If I wanted to post something on a business thing on my personal page, and I post it as public, only that will be public, the rest will stay private?
Yes, that's correct. So with individual pieces of content on your Facebook personal page, you have the power to set the privacy for every individual piece of content. So you can make it just your friends, you can make it anybody, you can make it friends of friends. There's a few different options.
So will then, when it's public, they can't see everything on my page then? They can only see the posting of the public,
Correct.
or can they see everything else?
No, only little bits of information
Only what I posted public.
that you designate as public, yeah, will be visible.
Perfect. I finally got a straight answer from someone. Thank you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Quick question from Cece. Go for it.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask you to see if you thought this was worth my time. So it's manual, it's not automatic, but if I post something, so I use my personal Facebook page to post content related to the business sometimes, and I will share it over to the business page if I think it's relevant, but it's manual. And is it worth my time to do that? Or should I just stick to the Facebook or to the personal Facebook page?
I mean, it doesn't hurt to do that. If you have a good piece of content to share it across to another part of the site, it doesn't hurt by any means. So it kind of comes down to you and how much free time you have to be doing sharing. If it's, if it takes you a couple of seconds and it's no skin off your back, do it. It's not going to hurt. And there's another little asset there out in the world floating around for people to find. But if it starts to be too much and you're like, why am I doing this? And it's not getting any attention anyways, you're probably safe to skip it. What I will say with the Facebook platform specifically, I never use the share button to move content from like the personal page to the business page and back or to groups or whatever, because I find that stifles the engagement for that piece of content. If I post something on my personal page, like a photo and a caption, and I'm really proud of it, I think it's great, I'll just take the same photo and the same caption and just go over to my business page and make a brand new post there. And other people have agreed with me when I've shared this experience that it gets significantly better engagement when I do it that way than when I use the share button, and it puts that little fine borderline around it. Something about that, like people don't engage with it when it's been shared from elsewhere.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. And it shares backwards too. You would think it would share from my personal name. It shares it's weird, but
Yeah.
I'll try it that way. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Yeah. Cool. Okay. What about an option to make a page that is neither your personal page nor a business page? Make a group. And Facebook suggested I make a page. This created a page like my personal page, but separate and everything. Just reading a comment here posted. Yeah, it's still, so Lena, it's still a page though. Or that could be this kind of new multiple profiles thing that Facebook has enabled for a lot of users. Yeah, I'm not sure. You'll have to just test it out and see how it goes. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here. I promise secrets, and secrets you shall have. I promise also we'll have more Q&A time for everybody. And here we go. Oh, that's not it. Give me 1 sec here. And there. Okay. We can see the slides. We can see me. We can hear me. We're happy so far. Yes. Okay, cool. So those of you that kind of follow me around a little bit to these different Facebook groups where I do presentations, you'll notice I never make the same presentation twice. I get bored real easily. So if you go back and watch the replays of the talks I've done at Hypno Gurus or Mike Mandel, it was a different presentation. So today's presentation is called Lies and Truth. Lies and Truth. So I want to share with you some of the so-called advice that a lot of hypnotherapists and coaches get about social media that I think is actually kind of disempowering. It's sort of like sounds good on the surface, but can actually stifle us. Okay. And I've got 5 of them that I just want to kind of break down and maybe shift your perspective a little bit. Okay. So the first one is consistency is key. Have you ever heard this? You must be consistent on social media. This is a very big and, in my opinion, dangerous oversimplification about how to be successful on social media. Because if you're not careful and you just make consistency your highest value when it comes to attracting clients on social media, for a lot of people, it becomes a recipe for being totally unsustainable, getting very discouraged very quickly, and just not getting anywhere and wasting time on social media. Really, and the truth, and this is my opinion based on my experience, the truth is that consistency should be the intersection of proficiency, efficiency, and sustainability. Be as consistent as you want, as long as you kind of know enough about how to post on social media that it doesn't feel painful. A lot of people don't get past that part. You have enough efficiency that if you want to, you can make a post in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Slap a selfie, write up a quick caption, hit post, right? 90% of my posts took me 5 minutes or less to post. That's efficiency when it comes to social media. And that combination of being just a little bit proficient with these platforms and pretty efficient with these platforms, that makes you sustainable. That makes you sustainable. But a lot of people make this mistake of going straight for consistency without having gained a little bit of proficiency and skill with the social media platforms, and without knowing how to get things done quickly and easily. And then it's painful, it's hard, they're spending much more time than they need to. And I mean, human beings are strong, right? We have willpower. You can go a long time forcing consistency. But I suggest you don't do that, because when you force the consistency, you become unsustainable, and often it doesn't work anyways. Often it doesn't work anyways, because you're attaching all this negative energy and resent to your content, right? We don't want that. So the key really is what we see on the chart here. Get yourself a little bit of efficiency. If you don't know how to do stuff quickly and easily on social media, like make basic posts, make a basic like 30-second video, that stuff, ask somebody to show you, right? Get that knowledge, right? If you want to be consistent. And likewise with the others. Lie, quality over quantity, quality over quantity. In almost every context in life, this is true. Okay? If you're a carpenter, you will be best served to focus on quality over quantity. Make a few really nice pieces and sell them for a high ticket price, right? Especially if you're starting out. On social media, an over focus on quality over quantity, which most people err far too much on the side of quality on social media, also known as perfectionism on social media, again, is a recipe for being unsustainable. I'm not saying don't post good content. I'm not saying post garbage, right? But the truth is, most people won't see most of what you post on social media. Even your most dedicated and enthusiastic followers will see a small fraction of what you post on social media. Okay? And so I say here, you need to kind of hedge your bets when it comes to producing content. Because every time you post a piece of content on social media, you're making a wager that it might pay off or it might not. You're putting a coin in a slot machine and you're pulling the handle, right? So if you make, perfect quality when it comes to social media content, your highest priority, and you're spending 60 minutes to make one post, and you put that coin in the slot machine and it doesn't pay off, you're not in a very good position, right? But if you, and again, I'm not saying put out garbage, put out crap. But I'm saying, if you make decent quality content efficiently, right? Stuff that you can bang out in a reasonable amount of time, well, now you can pull the handle on the slot machine 10 times a day instead of 1 time a day. And what are your odds of the right person seeing one of these posts and booking a discovery call with you then? And the big difference between social media and the casino is on social media, it's free to play. You post as much content as you want, pull the handle on the slot machine all day, right? Is this making sense? And I want to emphasize, I'm not saying post garbage. I'm not saying just, post random nonsense. You want to be a little bit thoughtful about it. Make it helpful, make it useful, make it good content. But I'm saying, a lot of people err on the side of, I need to make this one piece of content perfect. And you really don't, right? The other thing I'll tell you is you want, as a general rule of thumb, the amount of energy that the person is going to invest consuming it should be commensurate with the amount of energy that you're going to use to make the content, right? If you're putting together a course that you're going to sell for $5,000, well, the buyer is going to put a ton of energy and money into investing in that course, right? So it makes sense that you're going to put a lot of energy into producing it. Now, if we're talking about one post or one quick 30-second reel for Instagram or Facebook that the average person is going to pay nothing for, look at for 10 seconds and then go and, probably forget and go on to the next piece of content, right? Invest very little energy in consuming. Does it make sense for us to invest a ton of energy in producing? Probably not, right? You don't want to make this like giant energetic deficit for yourself where you're giving, and not seeing return on it, right? That can be very discouraging. Does this one make sense, everybody? Yeah. Okay. Next, lie. You just need to post more, which is sort of on the surface sounds like the opposite of what I just said, right? But it's not, because I want to explain to you what I mean by this. If you're posting as much as you feel comfortable posting, and it's not turning into engagement and it's not turning into discovery calls or consultation calls or inquiries, okay? So if you're posting an amount that feels good for you and it's not getting you results, posting more probably is not going to get you the results that you're after. Simply posting more of what you're already posting, because it's usually not that you need to post more for most people. It's usually that you need to post more strategically. And I want to give you the example of my friend, the farmer, who has an apple orchard. My friend, the farmer, has an apple orchard. And on his apple orchard are a dozen apple trees with beautiful apples on them. And at the end of the driveway is a sign that says, "Come pick my apples, pay this small amount of money. You can pick the apples right off the tree." And the apples are delicious, right? But the cars don't stop. People don't come. No one picks the apples. Is it going to change things if he plants another 50 apple trees and has way, way, way more beautiful, delicious apples? Is that going to make people stop and come to his orchard and pick the apples? Probably not. Because the problem is not with not enough of what he already has. The missing piece for the farmer is he needs to go put up a sign in town where all the traffic is saying, "Hey, there's this great apple orchard, 5-minute drive outside of town, come pick apples." He could have 1,000,000 apple trees there, right? It wouldn't matter if people don't know how to find it, if they don't know that he exists. So the way this manifests for people, for coaches and hypnotherapists on social media, is they're producing good educational content that the followers that they do have like and enjoy and learn from, when what they really need is to produce content that is designed to make them more discoverable by people who don't yet know they exist. And these are two totally different types of content, right? If you think about the library, in the library, up on the 3rd floor, we have volumes that are, 200, 300 pages thick, 10, 15 volumes of information in one series. But down in the lobby of the library, we have pamphlets that give us brief bits of information on different topics, right? How many people walk in off the street and go straight to like the giant volumes versus how many people happen to be in the lobby of the library and pick up some pamphlets, right? My message is most hypnotherapists and coaches on social media who are not getting the results that they want, they're spending all this time writing these big, thick volumes, like deep, educational content, when really what they need is a few pamphlets out front for strangers to find and be like, "Oh, this stuff, hypno stuff sounds interesting." Easily consumable, punchy content. Does this make sense, everybody, what I'm saying? And I put your content needs to have three purposes. You need to have content, one, that makes you discoverable by strangers. Two, once people follow you and are kind of interested in what you're up to, you need content that educates them, shifts their perspective, demonstrates your authority, et cetera, et cetera. Most people put an overemphasis on this category. And the third phase of content is content that takes your engaged followers and turns them into customers. Content that specifically says, I have this great service, come buy it, right? Those are the three phases. Just double checking on that chat here to make sure there's nothing urgent. Yeah, that's a really good point, Navneeta. Yeah, have some warnings way further out. So people anticipate the orchard coming up and can slow down. Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, next lie. I'm not talking to no one. That's not what that's supposed to say. I'm not talking to anyone. This is a complaint that I hear from a lot of people on social media. When you're starting out, you're first growing your audience, it feels like we're posting content, maybe we're going live, maybe we're putting up videos and no one's listening. Nobody's liking our stuff, nobody's commenting, nobody's calling, right? And what I will tell you, the truth is you're building an important asset. You're building an important asset, okay? It's very different than like being on the street corner and yelling about your opinion to the passersby. Once they're gone, they're gone. There's no, future engagement likely. On the internet, it's different. You put up a piece of content and it feels like nobody cares. But the next week you put up a piece of content, and the week after that, and the week after that, you're creating this back catalog of content, right? And then one day somebody comes along and watches your most recent video and says, this person really knows what they're talking about. And they go back and they look at all the other stuff you've done and you've said, and now they're ready to book a call with you, right? So I want you to shift that perspective, because I know what it feels like to go live on video every day to an audience of 0. I know what that feels like. And the videos are still up. If you go back enough in the history of the internet, you can find them. But I also know what it feels like to reach a point where little by little traction kicks in and people start noticing. And then people go back and binge watch all my content and they're sold. They're messaging me saying, how do I get involved with you? How much? When's the next thing? Right? So if it feels like you're talking to no one, just know that you're talking to your future clients and that it's okay. And we've all gone through it. Okay? Does that one make sense? That one makes sense. Also, very important, don't do this thing where you get discouraged and you go and delete everything you've ever posted. Don't do this thing where you make a live video and you talk about your subject matter and it gets 1 or 2 views and no comments and you think everybody hates it, I'm going to delete it. Don't do that, because you're destroying a business asset when you do that. All right, the next lie. I hate social media. This is a lie we tell ourselves. This is a lie we tell ourselves. I hate social media. This is a lie we tell ourselves. It was a lie I told myself too. The truth is you just haven't yet learned to love social media. Okay? If I had a brand new cell phone and the only person I ever called and the only people that ever called me were people who I had no interest in talking to, I might think I hate the cell phone, right? But maybe I just need to use it differently. Maybe I just need to fire up the Snake app on the cell phone and play Snake instead of calling people. Or maybe I need to try calling different numbers. Social media is a very neutral thing, in my opinion and in my experience. When we learn how to use it and we learn how to avoid the stuff we don't want and we learn how to connect with the people that we do want to connect with, it's a pretty brilliant place to be. It is the most efficient means of communication that human beings have. Truly, right? And it has the power to connect you with a pool of millions of potential clients. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, to get the type of reach that you can get on social media, first of all, it wasn't possible. But if it were possible, it wouldn't have been cheap, right? Today, you can use social media for that. So I encourage you, if you're one of the many who think you hate social media, I encourage you to search for what you love on social media. Stop connecting with the things you don't like on social media. Take back the power, take back the control. Please. Thoughts or questions on anything I've said so far? I do have more tips, but we can pause for questions or thoughts.
I absolutely agree with what you said as far as creating the backlog. I have stuff that I was doing years ago that I was positive nobody was watching or listening to, but like then something else would come out and then they would find that and they would comment about an article that I wrote that I completely forgot that I even wrote, but they found it because of something else that I'm doing now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did that then, even though it was like crickets at the time.
Yes.
And I had a client who is also a colleague who had put something out and it was in like her local paper, maybe like it was an article or somebody did an interview on her or something like that. And like nobody seemed to respond to it. And she thought, well, that's it. That's the end of my business. I'm going to do something else now. Like that. I was like, wait, what? She's like, well, nobody responded to it. Like, well, give them some time, do some more things. You got to get the machine going. Anyway, so yeah, create the backlog. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it's like, I remember when there was that tipping point that I came upon where it's like talking to no one, talking to no one, talking to no one. And then all of a sudden people were showing up and paying me thousands of dollars for my services, right? It went from like dead silence. And a lot of them said the same thing. Ryan, I've watched every video you've ever, put on Facebook. I've read all of your posts. And here's the thing. I've never seen this person's name before. And I remember everybody who likes my stuff. I do. And so they come to me and they say, I've watched everything. I've read everything. And they've never clicked like. They've never left a comment. They've never left any evidence that they were there. But now here they are on a Zoom call asking me how they can enroll in my next program. So that's the other thing. Sometimes it feels like you're talking to no one, and sometimes you're right. You're not talking to anyone.
Sometimes you have silent stalkers.
And sometimes there's a bunch of people quiet. Yeah, exactly, Krista. Sometimes there's a bunch of people watching, or some people, right? Quietly. And they're going to be your best clients potentially. Dolane, I think I saw you raise a hand. Go for it. Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Okay, I got unmuted. It just reminded me when you said this, like a metaphor again, of people go to the grocery store. The rows are full of products left, right, and center. And you only go for what you're looking for, but there's something else there. Yeah. So until you need it, then you go and find it. Or somebody's told you about it. Oh, I tried this sauce or whatever. So it's the same thing. We're all like in a shell on the shelves of grocery stores waiting for people to pick us.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah. That's a great metaphor, right? I might start using that. Yeah, if you hate social media, maybe you're just stuck in the cereal aisle and you hate cereal. Go over to the produce aisle or the butcher.
Yeah, let's think of ourselves as like some luscious fruit or something rather than like boxes of cereal.
Yeah.
I think that instantly changes your energy around it. I feel like the energy with which you create the post vibrates somehow. So I think like energy cleansing before you start the social media, like clearing your thoughts and the anxiety and reconnect to the purpose of why we are creating the post really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Yeah. And that's why I say you really want to, if it's painful or like stressful to make social media content, get a little bit of help, take a little bit of training, do something so you can figure out how to do it in a way that you're at least neutral about, where it feels okay, so that you can be sustainable. Great tip, by the way, Navneeta. Okay, I've heard other successful people talk about, when they started out, they were talking to no one. Famously, Tony Robbins, for his first ever NLP seminar, he rented a conference room in a hotel that could seat 1,000 people. I don't know if the story is true, but it floats around quite a bit. Famously rented a conference room in a hotel that seats 1,000 people. And one person showed up, and sat in the front row. And he presented his presentation, his seminar to that person with every bit of enthusiasm as he would, whether it was a sold out show. And I mean, look at where he is now, right? Those silent people may be telling other people about you. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's another thing I've heard. Oh, I've heard so much about you from so-and-so. And again, so-and-so is a name I've never heard or seen, right? That does happen from time to time. Okay, I got more tips for you. I got more slides, just a couple more. And then maybe I'll ask you again if we have any questions, and then we'll go from there. By the way, folks, you can see on the screen here at Ryan Montis NLP. That's my Instagram handle. I'm in Chris's Facebook group. Please follow me, add me as a friend on Facebook, shoot me your questions. I love talking about social media or anything. Here to help you. Okay, let me share my screen. Talked about that. Okay, remember, I want to just reemphasize that there's 3 phases of stuff that you do on social media. Phase 1, making yourself discoverable to strangers, has a lot to do with how you just like set up your profile. Your profile picture, is it professional? Does your profile make it immediately clear what you do and what you offer? Right? Like, I am a hypnotherapist. I help people build muscle, whatever it is, right? The setup, those foundational pieces. I call them like anything that's semi-permanent in your profile. Is it thoughtfully designed to easily communicate who you are, what you do, and who you help? Right? Because remember, people who happen upon your social media presence, if they're a stranger to you and you're a stranger to them, they're going to spend 5 or 10 seconds looking at your profile, probably less, to decide whether or not to follow you. And if it's not immediately apparent why they should follow you, they're not going to. If I'm in the market for a hypnotherapist that helps people stop smoking, and I happen upon your Instagram profile and you're the best stop smoking hypnotherapist in the world, but your profile picture is a dog and your bio says like, I transform lives, blah, blah, like generic stuff like that, am I going to follow you? Probably not. But if your profile image is a professional image, and your bio says, I use hypnotherapy to help people stop smoking in 1 session guaranteed. Whoa, am I going to follow you? There's a really good chance, right? That's the setup. Number 2 is your content. This is where people spend most of their time, right? Your content needs to demonstrate authority, cause people to trust you, educate your audience, cause them to understand the things that they need to understand that make it a logical decision to invest in your service. For example, if I am a hypnotherapist, and I am, I know that some of my future clients don't yet understand the connection between their unconscious programming and the results that they get in life. And a person who doesn't understand that is never going to invest in the service of a hypnotherapist. So some of my content is going to educate people about that, right? And there's a bunch of things like that, that people cannot make a logical decision to invest in my service until they understand these things. And these things, whatever they are, should be emphasized in your social media content often. Okay. There's your content. And number 3, the last kind of thing you do on social media is specific actions to turn followers into clients. A lot of people get number 1 and number 2 down really well. And they have like lots of engagement and people follow and people like their stuff and there's comments. But they never say, book a discovery call with me. Here's the link. I want to work with you. And so no one books discovery calls. And then they have the complaint. I spend all this time making content. People engage. People like my stuff. Nice remarks. Nobody ever books a call, right? You have to tell them. You have to tell them, right? Or you have to invite them to an event, right? I'm doing a free group hypnosis on Zoom this Tuesday. Come, right? And then at the end of the event, who wants a session with me, right? Book a discovery call. 3 different specific types of action. Again, this is why I'm just going to post more. Doesn't work because that's just number 2. Unless you have the setup and the sales handled too. Oh, and there's some examples of specific things. right? Under your setup, you want to have your profile tuned in, your I help statement. You want to know what you offer and make it apparent. In the content, you want your key messages. You want to know what they are. You want to be fairly repetitive with your key messages. And you want to drive engagement in your content. Volvo. Whenever I talk about repetition in content, I like to talk about Volvo. Does Volvo ever stop talking about safety in their commercials? Volvo, the car manufacturer. Everybody, I used to own a Volvo. It was a great car. Everybody in the world knows that Volvo is known for their safety. Everyone. And yet they still talk about it in their commercials. Why? Because it's one of their core marketing messages. Right? You as a hypnotherapist, you as a coach, you have core marketing messages too, and you need to be repetitive. It's our natural inclination to not want to bore people by being repetitive. You have to fight that. And you have to be repetitive, okay? And drive engagement. And in phase 3, make offers, calls to action, initiate the escalation. Initiate the escalation. Any questions on any of that, by the way? True for videos. I've heard of videos made 1 or 2 years ago suddenly going viral. Yeah, very true. Very true. I've had people find videos that I made 2 years ago, 3 years ago on YouTube and like sent me a DM being like, hey, I just watched this video. I love it so much. How can I get involved with you? Seriously, it does happen. I've heard other successful people say they start out. Yeah, okay, wait. Ryan Montis, Simple Social, good. YouTube channel, notes of appreciation, good. Okay. Last bonus tip I'll give you. By the way, I didn't start using social media pretty much until 2019. I started my business in late 2019. Before that, I was a soldier. And before that, I was a private investigator. I didn't have much need for social media. And actually, back then, in those roles, privacy was of an even greater concern than it is now for me. So like, I met with the same steep learning curve when I started my business that many of you are meeting with now, right? I had to figure it out. I didn't have that kind of advantage of just like growing up constantly on social media that a lot of people have, right? And one of the things that I realize now looking back made me excel on social media quickly is this. The better and more effective communicator you are in general in life, the easier time you'll have on social media and in sales in general. People who are highly effective communicators in general, people who are good conversationalists, people who can articulate themselves well, people who can stand up and do like a toast at a wedding, like people who have that skill tend to have a really easy time adopting social media because social media is just like a more specific type of general communication, right? How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So back when I was, still not into the social media world yet, but I was very much in the personal development world. I spent a lot of time like at public speaking classes, working on my communication skills. I did improv classes. I did stand-up comedy training, all these things that now looking back made me a really good communicator in general. Oh, well, or maybe a good communicator in general, and made it so much easier on social media now. So that's another kind of avenue that you can explore if you're having a tough time on social media. Ask yourself, are my just general communication skills as polished as they could be? If walking down the street, a human being stopped me and said, hey, what do you sell? Could I give them an articulate answer in 30 seconds? Because if the answer is no, it's not going to be any easier on social media, right? That may be something to explore and polish. Lastly, if you like me, if you like what I'm saying and you want more of this, I have a training and membership and community specifically for hypnotherapists, NLP practitioners, and coaches, where we do training, I give you coaching, and we have a lovely community, some of which is here right now on this call. It's $7 a month. I specifically designed it to be highly accessible. I'm on a mission to give you more value from my $7 program than other trainers will give you from their $7,000 programs. And I guarantee it with the money back guarantee. So if you're interested in that, go to ryanmontis.com/simple social. We have a lot of fun in there. And, you know, the whole name of the game is making social media easy for you and fun, so you can love it and thrive on there. So, and shoot me any questions you have about that. ryanmontis.com/simple social. Would love to see you there. And what questions do we have? About anything. Could be social media. If you have questions about TAD. I'm routinely offering people trivia information about Canada. If you have questions about Canada.
Navneeta had asked, just putting up the prices on your social media, is that a good idea? And I responded just because it was in the chat. But
Yeah.
you can see my response and then add yours, since the question was actually for you.
Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, I didn't notice that one. Does putting up prices on your social media, is putting up prices on your social media a good idea? The jury's kind of out on that. At this point, I think it's a matter of preference. If you have your messaging and your offer and your social proof dialed in, whether you have your prices up or not, probably not going to make a huge difference. If you don't have those things really dialed in as well as you could be, sometimes holding your prices back until you're on a discovery call can work in your favor, because then you have one extra opportunity to convey value and build rapport before presenting your price. Whereas if you present your price before you've adequately conveyed the value in the service that you offer to your audience, people may be turned off.
There's also a difference between posting it on social media and posting it on your website.
Yes. Yeah, there is a difference.
My response was, I don't post it on social media ever because I change my prices frequently. And there's a reason for that. And I need that option. And I don't want to have to track down every little place where I have prices in every social media platform to delete those or edit those. But I do have them on my website, and they're kind of hidden, but they're there.
Yeah,
So-
then there is and I agree with you, Krista. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Because there's nothing worse than like if somebody sees a price from a long time ago and now your price is triple, right? And they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be this, you know, and then you feel bad, right? But what was I going to say? There is an advantage of publishing your prices, particularly if you are very busy. Like if you're getting more inquiries than you can handle, it's probably a good idea to have your prices publicized, because that's just going to automatically filter out the people who don't want to pay you what you're charging, right? So again, yeah, I agree with what Chris has said, and I think it's a matter of preference. Kind of the rule of, you know, the more predominant advice for people who are still growing their practice is to hold back the price until you're on the call with the person. But again, it's up to you. I would say do what feels good for you.
Also, there's like a combo of offers which are basic intro recordings or some intro or a group call. You replace those prices, and then for those high ticket or those more deep dive stuff, you can have varied prices, because you can always say it depends on what is the issue and how long it's going to take, and I'm going to assess, and I can then price you.
Absolutely.
It's custom pricing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing is, like, yeah, with high ticket prices or medium ticket prices, that makes a lot of sense. If you do happen, everybody, to have like a low ticket thing, like you have a $27, you know, hypnosis experience, and it's this really nice, like that, you can kind of get away with putting the price wherever, because it's really not going to turn anybody off. Like me, the $7 social sanctuary, like it's an insanely inexpensive, right? So I put that on my social media. I know it's not going to scare anyone off. So that's another consideration, right?
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Great question.
I have a few different tiers that I work with, depending on how busy I am, to make it more difficult to get to me. If
Yeah.
I'm booked out very far, and this is a personal thing, because I get claustrophobic when my calendar fills up beyond 3 months. I start to feel like, I don't know, like almost can't breathe. So I make it really difficult. So like I'll charge for the discovery call, I'll raise my rates, I'll publish my rates, like I'll do all the things so that it's like, by the time, if somebody really gets through and they want to book with me at that point, I'm like, they're very serious. They're going to be a great client. I'm going to get a great referral out of them or a great review out of them. So it's worth it, you know, but they have to really, it's like, I put them through like multiple hoops and then they have to swim through peanut butter to get to me, you know?
I love that. Yeah. If you're an extremely in high demand hypnotherapist like Krista is.
Well, not at the moment that I was.
Oh,
I took a bit of, I backpedaled. So anyway, but yeah.
No, that's a perfect example of what I was describing though, right? Like if you're getting a lot of inquiries and you can be a little bit selective about which clients you take, I think the way Krista's doing it is a great way to do it for sure.
So since I moved and took time off, it sort of slowed the machine down, you know, so I have to start revving it back up again. So now I make it a little easier to get a hold of me to find me. But,
yeah. And the other thing is like, sometimes you get bored and you just want more clients, right, folks? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for me? Any other thoughts? Any other needs about anything? I was going to say Canadian trivia. No. Do my best to answer. Cool. All right. Well, we're just about at the 1 hour. Oh, Dolene has a question.
Okay.
Go for it.
There she is.
I'm on my cell phone, so I'm trying to tap it up. Okay, Canadian trivia. Do you know anything about BC?
I know a little bit.
Ryan?
I know a little bit. Oh, this is fun. You're the first person to take me up on my Canadian trivia offer.
Why
Yeah.
not? I mean, this is too much fun.
Yeah.
Have you been to British Columbia?
I have. I've been to Vancouver. I've been to Victoria. I've been up to the Kootenay region.
Oh, Nelson?
Yeah, I've been in Nelson. Yeah, been a few different spots. I really like BC. If my family weren't more Ontario centric, I would probably move out to British Columbia.
Oh, it's very expensive here now too.
Yeah.
Are you from there too?
Yes, I'm from Milton, Ontario.
Oh, you're from Milton.
Oh,
Yeah, I grew up in Mississauga, not far from Milton at all. I think they're touching.
Yes, that's like neighbors.
Yeah, neighbors. Yeah.
oh, great. Well, this is fun.
There we go.
Well, thank
from
you so
London.
much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead. What?
I'm from London.
Oh, you're from London? Oh, it's all Canadians here, Krista. We thought it was
Oh.
Americans, but it's
Yeah,
all-
me
I have a
and
sister in Ajax.
yeah.
Dorothy
There's a
and
lot of Canadians in the hypno and coaching industry, actually a lot. I think we're overrepresented in the industry, which is cool.
The
Cool.
more the
All right.
merrier.
Yeah.
The more the
So
merrier.
I'll pass it back to you, Krista. If
Yeah,
if you
great.
have any other questions, shoot me a DM. I really don't mind.
Yeah, just thanks everyone for attending. Thank you so much, Ryan. That was just invaluable, wonderful information. I feel like we could have a couple more of these at some point and they would be well attended. And, you know, we had lots of questions right from the get-go, and I think we probably could have kept going. But I do have a session actually in 50 minutes, so I need to go prepare for that. But thank you again. And there are some links off to the side in the chat, but I will take those and put them into the Facebook group. And if you're not in the Hypnotherapy Uncensored Facebook group, reach out to me or Ryan, and we can get you in there, and then you'll never miss another one of these. All right.
Thank
Take
you
care,
very much.
everyone.
Thanks, Krista. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
All
All
the
right.
best.
Bye-bye.